Hey guys, so this is going to be shorter tonight because I didn't expect to get home this late. The guy who was talking talked for 3 hours or 2 hours after 1 hour instead of just talking for 2 hours. So I was supposed to be home around like 9:30 at the latest, and it's like 10 something, and I want to go to bed soon. So I'm sorry, I'm going to do this for like 10, 15 minutes. Thank you all who joined and who waited so patiently. Sorry about that. I can't always foretell the timing of things and the trains in New York City and all that other stuff. So basically, the group that I went to today was kind of like a law of attraction um, uh, group based on, kind of some of Louise Hayes's principles, which is, think positive, love yourself, and all will come to you. I'm not a proponent who believes in that 100% as a religion, and I've said this before on the channel. I like to take different aspects of different ways of thinking and combine them together for my own interpretation. I don't really follow anything as a complete religion, though I do still pray to my angels, Jesus, Mary, etc., because I believe in that. But I also combine it with archetypal practices like Diana, Aphrodite, channeling those energies in my life as archetypal energy, as I said. However, I still think that it's important to, I'm going to turn this a little bit so I don't have to lean that way. It's important to take various different belief systems and combine them. If they resonate with you, great. If they don't, then they don't. So two things that I took out of the group, which I can relate to the people I changed the title that I'm going to talk about. So should and could. So replacing should with could is useful. So there's a lot of things in life that we always feel obligated to do. When you put yourself in a sense of obligation, you put yourself in a sense of negativity and swimming upstream, meaning going against the current because you feel like you should. Oh, I have to. Oh, I'm obligated to. Oh, I must do this. I have to. Obligation. It's like a painful type of word, actually. Oh, you should. You should, like, so for instance, the group I went to tonight, if instead of saying, oh, I want to, I can go to it, you should go to that so you can improve your life because you should do it because this is what people should do. There's a very negative obligation with that type of way of talking. So when you replace should with could, like it's an option, you could do this, you could do that, it's leaving more room for you to express yourself. It's leaving more room for you to say, you know what, a lot of things in life I'm not really forced to do. A lot of it is a choice. Even going to your job is a choice because you may say, well, I have to pay for my house. I have to pay for my food and clothes. Well, you don't have to. You could choose to be homeless. You could, but that wouldn't be the best decision. But it's still, things in life still are somewhat of a decision. And allowing yourself to frame things as could rather than should can help your frame of mind. One thing I will say I disagree with regarding law of attraction, and the people at the group were a little bit like that, where they were of the way of thought that I attract everything to me and everything is what has been brought about by my thoughts, and my self-love has brought about everything in my life. I disagree with that to the extent that, yes, people do law of attract to an extent certain situations to themselves. But for instance, somebody who is a child and something terrible happens to them, I don't think they law of attracted that. Somebody who is, assaulted and they were taking every precaution necessary not to be assaulted, I don't think they law of attracted that. A good example is a woman who is not, and this is where I take issue with that kind of law of attraction stuff, a woman who is not walking alone at night, she's not going to parties, she's not drinking, so you can't blame, even though I don't agree with blaming the victim, you can't blame anything on her, but she's attacked when she's sleeping. Okay? That's an example of, I don't believe law of attraction is everything. That sometimes shit happens and the universe throws shit at us. Also, when we get into that concept, we can also get into the concept of flowing or swimming against the current. So this is where the video is going to relate to different people that I mentioned in the title, because I changed the title. Swimming against the current means that the current conditions of the universe that are being given to you, and I've read about this before, but this class tonight kind of just refreshed me, or the group tonight. These are things I already knew, but sometimes I like to go to these groups with other people to hear their opinions and just to refresh my mind with a group of people who think similarly. Swimming against the current means whatever is happening in your life, it's like the universe keeps throwing you message after message after message of what's happening in your life, right? And the person keeps resisting it, resisting it, resisting it, resisting it. And for whatever reason, the universe is like, well, I'm sorry, you can't have what you keep saying you want, and I'm going to keep throwing this at you. And the more you resist it, the more you're going to be going against how things are supposed to be. So for instance, if a person is living somewhere, things were going okay at first where they're living, and then all of a sudden, try as they may, every different outlet, they're trying to build their career in this place and build their career in this place, and they keep getting setback after setback after setback. The message from the universe eventually could be, and I'm not saying this is fact, but it could be, the universe is saying this is no longer the place you need to be. That's an example of resistance. If the person keeps trying to further their career in this location, and the universe is trying to send the message, no, it's time to go. Likewise, the same thing could occur with an example I gave the other day. And this is more of a heartbreaking example that's a little bit more personal and painful for people. It's not an issue I have. I'm not in a relationship right now, so I am not trying to have a baby. But if somebody is in a relationship, either a partnership or they're married, and they keep trying to have a baby and it's just not happening, and they go to the doctor and the doctor says that they're infertile, and they keep trying everything, it's not working, the universe at that point is saying that it's not going to occur this way. And I'm not saying it's fair. And I don't necessarily believe that the person attracted it upon themselves. That's where I disagree with some of this law of attraction as a religion way of thinking. I don't think it's always the person's. It's almost like telling the person it's their fault they were attacked, or their fault that they're infertile, or their fault. I think that's a very unkind way of just throwing everything. That's the therapist in me, or the life coach, because we're on Naomi Tarot. I can't say I'm doing therapy. Life coach in me with a master's degree in counseling. That's a life coach in me that doesn't want to do that. I don't want to throw all personal responsibility on one person and say it's because it's kind of like saying it's your fault. Oh, well, maybe if you thought better thoughts and you thought more positive, you wouldn't have been attacked, or you would have been more fertile. If it's your body's reaction to the negative thinking. Well, I think that's true to an extent. Some things I don't, because there are some people in life who they think as positive can be, and then they die of cancer. Now, this is not common, but it can happen. So this is where I differ with this law of attraction as a religion way of thinking. I think law of attraction is helpful. I think we can utilize its methods in our lives. That's why I make videos about that. And incantations are basically law of attraction with props. That's what spells are. And they've been around since the beginning of time, since witchcraft has existed, which is why I find it strange when people believe in law of attraction, yet they don't believe in witchcraft, because that's what witchcraft is. It's utilizing the elements of the universe with your thoughts, with your intention, but you're just using props like herbs and writing chants, etc., and talking about gods and goddesses. That's the only difference. I do believe in that stuff, but to an extent. I don't believe anything in life is 100%. I believe most things in life are subjective. Likewise, the law of attraction is subjective. It's not 100%. It's not 100% law. Like, oh, you law of attracted attacks, you law of attracted infertility, you law of attracted cancer to yourself. I don't always agree with that. Like I said, because of the example, a person who's perfectly positive all the time, believes in everything, roses and sunshine, and they still end up dying of cancer. Good example. But that doesn't mean that we can't use law of attraction as something helpful, not helpful. It doesn't mean we can't also turn to religion as something helpful. I'm not somebody who believes in throwing the baby out with the bathwater, so I also don't believe that religion should be totally thrown out. I think God is important. I think a belief in God is very important, especially for manifestation, or gods or goddesses, or whatever you feel comfortable with. It's very important to ground yourself, to ground your soul, to have a connection to the divine, because I truly don't believe we're just empty bodies walking around that are mini gods and goddesses, and there's no actual God that we're connected to. I don't believe that. If you believe something else, you feel free to think it. But, you know, on my channel, what my opinion is what I just said. So when people are swimming against their current, it's what I was saying earlier. I don't think it's that they're attracting the negative conditions to happen to them, but it's like they're not accepting that maybe something's not meant for them anymore. And so this is where I kind of add in my own belief. It's kind of a combined with fate and religion and God mixed with law of attraction. Because somebody who is a purist and believing law of attraction would say, well, if you just change your thoughts enough, you'll change the current and you'll be able to swim with it. I beg to differ in the sense that it's not about changing your thoughts all the time when you're swimming against the current. It's about realizing that something better is in your life design. Something different is in your life plan. And maybe not something that your ego feels is better, but something that was already written for you and meant for you. Fated, if you want to call it that, or destined, destiny for you to go in that direction. And the more you swim against the current, the more you resist what was meant for you. It's kind of like a mixture of religion and law of attraction, which is what I believe in, which can be tied into some ladies that I listed on the title. So Khloe Kardashian is a good example of that. I don't know if you guys even like the Kardashians. I don't really, but you can't escape knowing about them. So she's a good example of that. Selena Gomez is a good example of that. And Justin Bieber, their toxic relationship that they had, they don't anymore. Princess Diana is a good example of that. And Fergie is a good example of that. And if you believe the tabloids written about Meghan, you could say Meghan's a good example of that in some regards. Now, the reason why I say this is because if you think about it, Princess Diana was somebody who was swimming against the current of the royal family when she was in the royal family. You know, what was always done was that the prince or the king could have a mistress, and that's just what they do, that's accepted. And she swam against the current and she said, no, this isn't what I want. You know, this is making me upset. You know, I think she had some borderline tendencies. I don't think she had a full-blown disorder, but I think she had tendencies. It's my opinion. I'm not saying it's fact. Sorry about that noise. That's my neighbors next door. Sometimes it's noisy when they use stuff. Sorry, I can't help it, but they didn't insulate this building very well. So that's what the noise is in the background. If you're wondering, it'll go away probably in like 20 minutes. Hopefully sooner than that, like 5 minutes. But she was swimming against the current of what the royal family had said was protocol. This is what it is. This is how we deal with our princes and kings and kings, not the queens, because they let the men do what they want, of course. But that's the way the world has been for a while, unfortunately, because of the shift from the masculine, the feminine, the lack of balance we have with that. If you're spiritual, you know, with the divine feminine, divine masculine imbalance, why things have been like that. But that's how they have lived, you know, and she swam against that current. And it was because something was better for her. Something better was meant for her. Now, unfortunately, what happened to her, whether you believe the conspiracy or not, that her accident wasn't really an accident, whether or not it was an accident or wasn't an accident, something that her soul wanted that maybe she wasn't even consciously aware of at first. I think she became aware of it. Her soul wanted something better for her. And that's why she kept swimming against the current, resisting the current of what her soul had originally attracted for her. So her soul originally intended and attracted for her to marry a prince. But then when she experienced that situation, she kept having resistance, because something better was meant for her. Now, it's unfortunate she didn't get to experience the better life that was meant for her, but I truly believe something better was intended for her lifetime, not just being locked away in, you know, the palace, unhappy the way she was with his affair. The same goes for Fergie, but in a different way. Fergie didn't have the same unfortunate ending, but Fergie didn't fit in with the royal family. Fergie was too wild. Fergie was too different. She was too rough around the edges. She wasn't meant to stay in this mold that was created for her. And so she kept going against the current, resisting. And you know what? Instead of fighting against that resistance and difference, eventually she accepted it. Eventually she just said, okay, you know what? Enough. I'm done, right? Her ending was a little happier than Diana's, but it's still an example of resistance. Now, when we talk about Selena Gomez and Justin Bieber, it's the same thing. Again, resistance. That was a toxic relationship. Whenever two people, and this is a relationship example of just a toxic relationship where we don't know if there was actual any cheating. I don't know if it was ever proven that he allegedly cheated on her. But whenever something's on again, off again, on again, off again, on again, off again like that, especially in an intimate relationship and they had a years long on again, off again thing, that was resistance against the current that was trying to pull them away from each other. They kept getting back together, breaking up, getting back together, breaking up, because they were not meant to flow in the same direction. One person was swimming upstream, one person was swimming downstream. And when you have a relationship like that, it doesn't work because they're not swimming in the same direction. It's another example of resistance to what is. Khloe Kardashian, another example. She dates toxic men. She has a history of this. She was with Lamar, who was an addict. And this isn't even alleged. He wrote a whole book about it. An addict and a sex addict on top of that. She's chosen Tristan Thompson, who he's never admitted to being a sex addict, but it seems like he is. And at the very least, narcissistic qualities, in my opinion, with the way he's behaved. She has an addiction to toxic men. She resists probably a better partner that the universe intends for her by dating the same types of basketball players all the time. She is in resistance to a better partner. Some part of her is in resistance to that and is not law of attracting the better partner to herself because she has an addiction to these types of toxic men who are in sports or basketball. This is what she has in her mind that she thinks is what's for her, that she thinks is the type of guy that's for her. When the universe could have something, or God could have someone better for her, where she's swimming against the current, when the universe or God is saying, come over here. It's so much easier to swim upstream over here. It's so much easier to swim downstream and go with the current up over here. But you keep going on this other current, going upstream, 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 when we're saying go downstream, right? So that is an example kind of resistance. So if you find resistance in your life and you keep saying, well, I should do this, I should do this, I should do this, you can stop and think, well, what could I do instead? Now, what's another option? Instead of something I'm obligated to do, what's an option that I haven't tried before? So Khloe, good example. An option would be for Khloe to say, maybe I should date guys who aren't famous, at least not basketball players or any sports players. I don't want somebody after me for my money, so maybe I could date a really high-end surgeon, a corporate lawyer who makes a lot of money and it doesn't care about my money, right? He still is wealthy, so I don't have to be concerned he's like gold digging, because men do it too. But he's somebody that is not in that scope of the celebrity and the basketball players, and with the reputation they have and the kind of energy they've law of attracted to themselves. Because I do believe collectively, unconsciously, certain groups of people do attract an energy around them. And so collectively, unconsciously, the energy around a lot of sports players is womanizing, sleeping around, all the kind of, I hate to say, in my opinion, misogynistic things they do. So collectively, unconsciously, to continue to involve yourself in a group that's like that and then say, oh, well, there's cheaters found in every group. Yes, that's true. But you have a much higher chance of finding one when you keep going to the same group over and over again that's notorious or something. So it's kind of like rewriting your life, saying, what could I do? What's an option instead of what have I always done? What should I do? Right? So the example again of somebody who is trying to, and I know it's a very sensitive, heartbreaking topic, but it is a good example of somebody who keeps saying, well, I should try more fertility treatments. I should do this. I should go to doctors because it worked for them. I should go to that doctor and that doctor and that doctor. But when is it finally enough? When does one finally realize, okay, maybe God has something else in store for me. Maybe my higher self does. If you don't want to believe it's God, your higher self. But I believe if there is a higher self, there has to be a God, my opinion. Take it or leave it. But, as I said, it's my channel. But maybe this is what I feel like I should do because my ego wants this and can't let go of it. but maybe there's something else that I could do that's going to be more of a peaceful choice for me and feel like it's less resisting what the answer is over and over and over again, right? So it may feel like, to somebody like when Selena and Justin were caught up in their toxic cycle, right? When they were broken up, getting back together, broken up, getting back together, broken up, getting back together. They were resisting, one or both of them was resisting, you know what? I feel like I should keep working and fighting for this relationship. I should keep working on it. But what's another possibility? What could I do? Could I maybe think that there's somebody better out there for me, somebody better suited? Could I maybe think that maybe this was just a learning phase I went through in my life and now it's time to let go, right? And I think ultimately that's what Selena did and is still doing, because it takes a while to release a relationship like that out of your existence. I know. I dealt with a toxic male water sign. I know. I could figure out how he is probably just from reading a little bit about their relationship and seeing their energies and the fact that he's not a completely allegedly stable Pisces, similar to Cancers who are not stable that are males. It's a process, and it's saying, well, what other options are there for me? What could I do? Not what should I do, or do I feel like I'm compelled to in the same vicious cycle? So that's what I took from the talk that I listened to tonight and what I wanted to share with you guys, because I feel like if I go to things like this, back when I was doing therapy full time, and now that I'm doing life coaching with tarot reading and still therapy part time, when I go to things like this, that they're not really religiously based, but they're spiritually based, where you can share with all religions and all ways of life and walks of life and ways of thinking, I feel compelled to share this afterwards, right in the moment when I've got the ideas fresh with people, because I feel like it's part of the whole thing that we do when we talk about astrology and we talk about tarot cards and we talk about, the law of attraction stuff and the witchy Wednesdays and the spells. It's important to share it because I feel like every little piece ties into each other. Law of attraction ties into a belief in God, in my opinion. Tarot cards tie into channeling through the spirit. Astrology ties into the spirit and God, actually. And, this is what Carl Jung said. He based his form of psychiatry off of astrology and tarot, psychology, and a belief in God. People don't realize that, but there is actually psychiatrists who had originally a scientific base, who did believe in all of these different ways of thinking and appreciated them. Viktor Frankl is another example. He believed in God and mentioned God as well in his way of thinking. Not as much as Carl Jung did, but they both did. I know Frankl is Jewish. I believe Jung is also Jewish. I'm not positive, but I believe he is as well. But it was still a belief in a God. It doesn't have to be, like I said, Christian or Jewish or whatever. It doesn't have to be a specific religion, but it's still this belief that, yes, we do have something that is collectively this energy that is also found within us. And how do we utilize these different ways of seeing things? So like the tarot is for self-realization. It's for reassuring ourselves on the future, but the future can change every day, depending if you change your habits. Tarot can also be used as a tool just to contemplate for the day. You don't have to read future. You can say, what do I need to know as my message for today, right? Like what you need to know right now, pick a number of messages I do for you guys. Astrology can be used to better understand yourself and the archetypes and roles you're living in, right? Archetypes like the sinner or the saint, the lover, the fighter, the warrior, the siren. Archetypes can be used to channel. We can consciously channel our energy into them. Psychology as a science can be used. So all of these different, law of attraction can be used. So all of these different ways of thinking can be combined together. One is not better than the other. One is not more factual than the other. I think all of them are valuable. And that's why I think it's very important, even though, like I said earlier, to use the example of law of attraction. Law of attraction is important, but it is not an end all. It is not a be all. And it is not the total, complete, and utter absolute answer to the universe. I just don't buy it, but I do think it's valuable. So that's some little things that I learned today, and that's all I have to say. I'm not going to do a card reading because it's late And I just expended a lot of my energy going on this long ass train ride after the meeting ended up being so much longer than they said it was going to be. So, I appreciate anybody who showed up, and I will talk to you guys later. And if you have any questions, write them down below. You can also write them in the comment section under this video when I'm finished. And that's it. I guess that my only intuitive message I would leave things with is the word that kept coming to my mind when I was sitting on the train and when I was sitting in that group was the word forbidden and acceptance. So when a door is constantly closing, or it's like that whole idea again with the resistance and things are constantly saying, no, stop, no, stop. There's usually a reason for that. And whether it's to protect you from something that might have ended up happening, or to just tell you maybe there's a better way you could instead of should, you could go, an option, because could implies an option, should implies an obligation. Maybe there's a better way you could go, right? This way is forbidden. The door has slammed and it's for a reason. And maybe accepting that and thinking of the other options is what we need to do, or you need to do, or whoever's watching this now. But that's the message I took away tonight to share with you guys. Thank you for watching. All my talks and readings are for entertainment purposes only. I don't claim things I say to be fact. You can resonate with it if you resonate. If you don't, that's fine. And if you'd like to subscribe, hit the subscribe button. If you'd like your own tarot reading, if you'd like your own life coaching session, if you'd like your own incantation or spell, money or love, I offer that on naomitarot.com. You can check out all of the different readings I have, all the different services I do. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your support, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.